Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Again, welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family, your business can benefit in current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day. We have a very focused show. We only chat about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. And let me remind you, if you ever have any home or finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you. And you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are operators standing by.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
While I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan or plan to save you money, I personally work with you. Even if you don't have any needs today, save this number in your phone for future reference. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And yes, of course, we are celebrating the day we celebrate every day on Ron Siegel Radio. National No Housework Day. How could you do that on a Monday? I mean, most of us, that get pretty messy over the weekend, don't we? And who wants to be doing housework on the weekend? Of course, who wants to be doing housework? That's a different story. National Girl Me Too Day. Now, if you are like me, I think that you have to be respectful of people every day. So I don't know what's this Girl Me Too Day, but I will go with this one. I having beaten anorexia, it is National Coffee Cake Day. Looks like just a piece of cake. What makes that a coffee cake? I don't know. Okay, so Coffee Cake Day is today, and it's also National Beer Day. Now, this one you got to be careful of because I was on a call this morning, early morning, and I made a comment that, pick your choice, National Coffee Cake Day or National Beer Day. And I'm not a beer drinker, and I've beaten anorexia, so I'm going with coffee cake. But somebody piped up and said, have the coffee cake with a beer chaser. And I said,
What are you doing?
That doesn't sound very good to me. I can go a lot of directions. I like eating a lot of things, but beer following coffee cake. Maybe a nice glass of wine or something, but, or even better yet, Mexican coffee, Bailey's and coffee, Kahlua and coffee. But beer, I don't know about that one. Okay, let's move right along because it is a busy day in the markets. And I have to be careful of sharing this with you. I'm going to share this and I'm going to put the caveat in here. We are broadcasting live right now. And if you're listening to us on ABC News and Talk, we record the programs each morning about 9 in the morning. And you take that program and then we're playing it on ABC News and Talk 6 to 7 in the evening after Josh does all the editing and Sean gets it ready to go, the whole bit. Well, right now, the stock market, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is down 780 points. Now, I'm just going to share with you that the market, when it opened up this morning, was down about 1,000 points. You get a false news headline across Twitter. I guess you got to call it X now. That says that according to Kevin Hassett, false news, that the Trump administration is going to pause tariffs for 90 days. It was not true, but just because of that tweet going out or that false headline going out, the stock market recovered the entire 1,000 points it was down early in the morning and was then up about 1,000 points. Volatility. The White House happens to see this messaging and calls into a couple of the TV stations and says, that is not true. The president has no plan to pause the tariffs. And oh, by the way, the stock market starts tumbling again. And now we see that, we were down 900 and change. Now we're down 770. Hard to say where we're going. Oil prices down at $60 a barrel. Now, I don't know about your neighborhood. In my neighborhood, gas prices are still going up. Are they still going up out there in Vegas too, Josh? Yeah, he's still got them going up too. Now, I get it because the refiners, they have the inventory. So as gas prices drop so dramatically, it doesn't affect them right away. But you'd expect over time it will. But I'm going to share with you, we're in California, or many of us are. Josh isn't, he escaped. So we're at $4.96 a gallon of gasoline. $4.96 now is the average across the state. About $3.60, Josh, give or take, out there in Vegas. More, $3.70, $3.75. Okay. So why is that happen? What's going on? So this time of year, you get ready to switch from the winter blend to the summer blend. The summer blend is a little bit more expensive, but since they're changing over, well, they let the inventory deplete and they do some maintenance, and then they start up with the winter blend or the summer blend. So hopefully we'll start seeing maybe some lower gas prices. If you're not in California, you can almost bet on lower gas prices. If you're in California, our governor will find a way to tax it more so we still have high gas prices. Just the way it is, figure on it. You still look out there and you say, okay, even though we're at $4.96 a gallon on average here in California, our friends and neighbors in Mississippi, $2.75 a gallon. $2.75. Over $2 a gallon cheaper. Hawaii is at $4.50. They must do some price fixing in Hawaii. I'm just guessing at that, just because it seems like how do they stay right around that same $4.50 price all the time? But you look at it and you say Oregon's at $4, Washington's at $4.39. Washington has some good taxes on there also. Even Illinois, they're in the top 10 prices in the country. They're at $3.50 a gallon. I'd be pretty embarrassed if I lived in Nevada right now saying that Illinois is cheaper than Nevada. That's pretty bad. I mean, you look at that one and say, how could that be? They're about as red as they get out there. But who knows? We'll keep on watching all these numbers for you. We come back, I want to chat with you a little bit. I hear more and more people, they don't understand tariffs. And the latest tweet or commentary, I don't know whether it came out by tweet. Do you even call it a tweet now? I don't think you can call it an X, can you? I mean, how do you trademark X? It's just a language. It's a letter. But I digress. President said that if China decides they want to come back with their retaliatory 34% tariff, he's going to add an extra 50 onto China. So let the shenanigans begin. Who do you think buys more from the other? Do you think we buy more from China or they buy more from us? Just throw that out there. So that 50 more against China, which bring it up to like 84%. We'll see how that works out for him. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, we're going to chat about tariffs. I'll explain them to you. House hunting got easier. I'll tell you why. And we're going to talk a little bit about home buyer tax benefits. All that and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel Lending Team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel Lending Team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 21037, and DRE number 0186945. You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And every day at this time, OBMMI. They provide the most comprehensive, accurate, timely, and interactive analysis of pricing ever conducted in the mortgage industry, calculated from actual locked rates, with consumers across 35% of all mortgage transactions nationwide. They do not tell us points paid, points received, or the APR. They only tell us the number you need to put into your mortgage calculator to find out exactly what your principal and interest payment will be. If you don't have a mortgage calculator, shame on you, because it's free. All you have to do is go to rsrlinks.com/mobile app, rsrlinks.com/mobile app. What did rates do on Friday? Well, they were up and down. They were a roller coaster. But let's take a look at the ending numbers for the average of loans on Friday. Conventional 30-year fixed, 6.481. That was down. Jumbo 30-year fixed, 6.516. That was down. FHA 30-year fixed, 6.231. That was up. VA 30-year fixed, 5.93. That was up. And USDA 30-year fixed, 6.236. That was down. If you want our market thoughts each and every business day morning, as early as the data allows, rsrlinks.com/market minute. rsrlinks.com. Yes, I hesitate because I always forget it until Josh puts it on the screen. rsrlinks.com/market minute. That gives you our thoughts on the market as early as the data allows us. Let's see what the markets are doing today. Oof. Ugly day in the market. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is now down 88 points. The Dow is down 839. The NASDAQ is down 236. Oil's down $1.33. The 10-year Treasury up 12 basis points. And the mortgage bond, that one's down 41 basis points, which means interest rates are up. Not exactly what we want to hear. A lot of that comes out to do with the commentary coming from some of the Fed speakers. And last Friday, we did have the Fed Chairman Jerome Powell speaking, saying, he doesn't think that there's anything the Fed needs to do right now. Previous Fed Chair Lael Brainerd spoke on CNBC today and upset the bond market. She explained that the inflation data we get this week will be backward looking, and the Fed will care more about what is to come with the tariff impact. Additionally, she said that if the Fed is reactionary, they would respond to the rising inflation first, as it will take longer for the economy to slow. That means they are likely not going to cut rates until later, because they can't cut rates with inflation rising, but will have to react if there are clear recessionary signs. That's why the rates went up. Consumer Price Index is coming out later this week. We're going to get that reading on and that's one of the biggies that the Fed looks for, is what the CPI numbers are saying. And we're always watching that, because even though the Fed's favorite measure of inflation is PCE, the personal consumption expenditures, the CPI is used a lot, and we're always watching that to see if it's going to give us some indication of what the Fed might be wanting to do. And it's also, we get that information a little earlier. So that CPI comes out on Thursday. So let's take a look and see. The Consumer Price Index expected to show headline inflation come in around 0.1%, while the replacement from March of 2024 was about 0.35. That's a 0.25% improvement. If the estimates were to be correct, year-over-year inflation would fall from 2.8 to 2.5. Sorry, Miss Brainerd. The critical core reading is expected to come in at 0.3 month over month. And because the replacement is 0.38, which is also high, year-over-year core inflation is expected to decline from 3.1 to 3. Shelter will play an important critical role as it makes up 44% of the core reading. Shelter has begun to show signs of slowing, and the replacement is higher at 0.46. So there could be some benefit there. Bottom line, the move lower that is expected inflation on Thursday would normally be good on the bond market, but it may just shrug off the good news because it's backward looking and data for February before the tariffs came into play. That is the Mortgage Minute, brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Now let's chat about tariffs. What do they mean? How are they implemented? Why are they so misunderstood? Well, here's the issue. When you hear the president say, oh, we're going to put a 30% tariff on, a 20% tariff on, whatever the number is, and we're already starting to see that the president, whether you like him or not, his process is working. How do I know that? Well, the European Union has already said we'd like to go to a 0-0 tariff. They don't want to keep tariffing our products. We saw Vietnam say the same thing. We've seen Israel, they flew over, their leader flew over to the United States to have chats about this. Bibi Netanyahu is in the United States right now. They moved their tariffs down to 0. China doesn't want to do that. They want to keep getting that money coming in. So how do tariffs work? So tariffs, think about tariffs kind of like an importer's sales tax. When you go to the store and buy a $50 whatever, you get charged sales tax. The sales tax is on that product, and it's collected right at the time you buy it. So if you're in a 8% sales tax area and you buy a $50 item, they're going to put that $4 right on the bill. You pay it right then. When an importer is importing products that have a 50%, say a 10% tariff, well, when it comes in through customs, they collect that money before they release the product. But more, not everything that comes in is finished goods. Sometimes it's a component of something else, but it's also the cost of the product. So if you go back to that same $50 item that I talked about you buying in the store, well, maybe the importer's paying $20 for that. Not abnormal. And they put a 10% tariff on it. So now it's $22 by the time it gets to their door. It's called a landed cost. Well, maybe they can absorb some of that. Maybe like Walmart has done, they've gone back to their suppliers and say, we need to renegotiate pricing because we can't afford all these tariffs. You're going to have to help us. So maybe the wholesaler is going to absorb some of it. Maybe the manufacturer overseas will absorb some of it. Or maybe it's just a component. So if they buy a car part and it costs $50 or they cost that same $20 and they get a 10% tariff on it, it's $22, but it's only part of that $50,000 car. Does it have a big effect on it? Or if things are assembled in the United States, there's no tariff on labor that's done here in the United States. So all of these are components. So it's not as if when you hear a tariff that says 25 or 30%, you're going to see an immediate 30% increase in the price of that product from when you go to the grocery store or the department store or to Target, Walmart, Kmart's gone, but I'm sorry. Any of these other locations. So you're not going to see it as much, and it may not be as big an issue. And I have said all along, what's going to end up happening is the item, say we were in this prolonged battle with China, and the president said, we're going to add 34%. And China comes back and says, they're going to add 34% to match ours. Well, they were already at 68. That's why the president did 34. President now says, oh, we're going to add another 50 on top of that. China's going to come back and say, do something. We don't know what they're going to do. But the bottom line here is they can keep doing that, but it just means, okay, the importer is going to get hurt on the shipment that's already in transit that they've already paid for. If they haven't paid for it, they're just going to cancel it. Now what happens? Well, there'll be a shortage in the marketplace in the United States for a little while, but the importers will find another place to buy whatever that item is. They'll buy it in Vietnam. They'll buy it in India. They'll buy in Turkey. They'll buy in Japan or Taiwan. Brazil. They'll buy that product somewhere else where the pricing is sustainable. Why? Because we, the consumer, determine prices. We, the consumer, always determine prices. Because if the price goes outrageous, we just won't pay it. Think about it. You get a ticket to Disneyland. Josh and I were talking about this before the show. You go to Disneyland. I had fun this weekend. If you want to have some fun, go into ChatGPT and put in 50 little known facts about Disneyland, Anaheim, California. Well, when they opened the park, a cost to get into Disneyland was $1. It's a bit more right now. Now, I know that they've got the local deal right now. I think it's $67 or something like that for a 3-day, when you buy a 3-day pass or something along those lines. But the bottom line is, at some point in time, the consumer says, when my kids were little, I had an annual pass. And I think we had an annual pass for like $99 a year, right? Today, I think it's $999 a year. Maybe it's more than that even, right? As Josh is telling me, it's more than that. Okay, so I'm not going and buying an annual pass, even though my wife might want it to go and take the grandkids. It's too expensive. The consumer will say, we're going to buy it or we're not. Now, I know that there's still 50, 60,000 people a day going to Disneyland. So obviously, they have not hit a price where the consumer says, I'm out. Hasn't happened yet. But at some point, it will. And people just say, something, I'm not going anymore. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, house hunting just got easier. Here's why. Homebuyer tax benefits, navigating deductions and credits for 2024. And what's your number? Not your phone number. I'm married, but that's a whole different story. What's your number? We're going to talk about that as well. You can reach me anytime. Off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Confused about the home buying process? Or curious how much you really know about buying a home? Take the First Home IQ quiz to test your understanding of buying a home. Created by the nonprofit First Home IQ, this 5-minute quiz will give you a score, what you missed, and why. Take the quiz in 5 minutes at rsrlinks.com/FHIQ and find out what you need to know about buying your first home. That's rsrlinks.com/FHIQ.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. If you've been frustrated by the lack of homes for sale over the past few years, here is some good news. You have more options. So it may finally be time to kick off your home search again. As Daryl Fairweather, chief economist at Redfin, explains, quote, now's the best time to buy in the last 2 years. Mortgage rates are comparable to what they were 2 years ago, and prices remain high. However, there is significantly more inventory, unquote. The number of homes for sale has grown compared to last year, and even more options are on the way. While this is typical for the busy spring season, here's why this is so important right now. Homeowners are listing their houses at the highest pace we've seen in a while. New listings are on the rise over the past few months. The number of new listings or homes that have recently been put on the market for sale has been steadily rising. If you're watching us on RonSiegelRadio.tv, any of our socials, or the ABC News and Talk AM 1490 or FM 98.1 video feed, you are seeing a chart of more homes are coming on the market each month. If you want the numbers for your neighborhood, rsrlinks.com/market report, rsrlinks.com/market report. We put out a report. We check it every week to see how many houses are for sale in each zip code. Basically, more people are putting their homes on the market each month, whether they're moving up, downsizing, I call that right sizing, or relocating. And this trend is a positive sign for the housing market. Sellers who may have been on the fence the past few years are starting to jump back in. That's helping to boost overall inventory and create better opportunities for both buyers and move-up sellers alike. But it's not just the number of fresh options is up month over month. There's also been a jump compared to last year. According to Realtor.com, new listings in March were 10.2% higher than last year, making it the biggest March for new listings since 2021. There's another graph on the screen that shows the new listings are up over the last couple of years. For anyone who's been waiting for more choices, this is exactly what you've been hoping for, because more homes coming onto the market means more options and a better shot at finding one that fits your needs. To make sure you don't miss out on any of the latest listings for your area, lean on a local real estate agent. Bottom line, if you're thinking about making a move this spring, now may be the time to start exploring your options. More fresh listings hitting the market. You may find a home you love waiting for you. Make sure you're getting our buyer's guides. The annual guide, rsrlinks.com/HBG 2025. rsrlinks.com/HBG 2025. And we update it every quarter. rsrlinks.com/HBG. You can get that one every quarter. What features or neighborhoods are on the top of your wish list? Give me a call. I've got agents that I can put you in touch with anywhere in the sound of my voice. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. That is the real-time real estate segment, brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. You know, I've been telling you about this for a long time, and I've been telling you that you need to understand where the markets are going and be prepared. And there's a couple of things that we've talked about a lot. Number one is the two-step. If you haven't looked into consolidating your debt, we can do this really easy for you. We can see if it makes sense for you. You go to rsrlinks.com/two-step, and we take care of consolidating all your debt if it's possible. Now, if you don't have a home, if you don't have a mortgage, you know, if you're renting and paying someone else's mortgage, everybody has a mortgage. There's only two types of people that don't have a mortgage or are not paying a mortgage. If you're living with mom and dad, you may not be paying a mortgage. Okay, and if your house is owned free and clear, you might not be paying a mortgage. Other than that, you're either paying your mortgage or the landlord's, one or the other. Pretty simple. So you have to understand, if you've got that going on, rsrlinks.com/two-step. There's a lot of debt out there right now, a lot of consumer debt. And we've been watching all these numbers, and I think some new numbers are coming out or came out today, and they're talking about that. I don't think they've been posted yet, or I haven't seen them posted yet. Is just looking at these numbers, the consumer debt, it's up. Well, there's two different things. If you don't have a home that you own, don't have a mortgage, well, I'm going to suggest go over to rsrlinks.com/Sora. rsrlinks.com/Sora. Takes 30 seconds. You put your information in there, and it's only 7 questions. You know all of them. And you put your information in there. It sends us a note saying, hey, Mrs. Jones just put her information in here. Take a look. And we look at it and say, is there an opportunity for us to help you with your cash flow? If there is, okay, good. We set that in motion. If you own your own house, okay, we're going to go and we're going to see if we can restructure it. Now, interest rates were better last week than they are this week. You know, we've already seen, I already mentioned that to you, that we've already seen that the 10-year treasury and the 30-year bond, 10-year treasury is up almost 14 basis points today. That's a huge jump in a 10-year treasury. Now, believe it or not, it helps in certain areas. We want it lower, but we're looking at the mortgage bond. It's down 42 basis points, which means interest rates are up. So why is it that we're so interested in that 10-year treasury? Well, the Federal Reserve has to refinance a lot of debt, and the lower that interest rate is, the better that is for the refinancing of that debt. But I digress, because we're more interested in you than we are that. So when we're looking at that 2-step, first step, consolidate your debt, use some of that home equity to pay that off. When you pay it off 6-7 months from now, it's going to really, really improve your FICO score as long as you're disciplined enough not to run that debt right back up again. Now, we hope you don't, but there's not a lot of people that don't listen, and they do that. But then the next step of it is that 6 or 7 months from now, if you've got that discipline, you've kept those credit card balances low, you're paying your credit card bills, you're using them, but pay them properly. rsrccpayment.com, rsrccpayment.com. We show you how to pay your credit card bills the right way for FICO scoring purposes. There's a lot of right ways to do it, but for FICO scoring purposes, rsrccpayment.com is the right way to do it. We do all those things and we restructure your loan once again. We'll even give you an option to do it for free. Yeah, that's right. I said it, for free. Now, you may or may not find that to be the best option, but we'll look at it. And it's called strategic planning. As certified liability advisors, we help you build wealth through strategic finance. It's just through strategic debt finance. There's a lot of options out there. You just have to understand them. Most people don't. I get it. Why would you? I do this every day. Most people don't do it every day. So they don't have a reason to understand all of it. Just throw that out there. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, what's your number? We're going to talk about that because that's also some things that some people benefited from last week and some people didn't. And now that with the bonds being up 46 basis points today, the bond being down 46, interest rates are up, you may have missed out. Homebuyer tax benefits, navigating deductions and credits for 2024. There's only about a week left till taxes are due. We'll talk about that as well. You can reach me anytime off air, number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's...
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Borrow Smart segment today being brought to you by GetHomeselect.com. GetHomeselect.com. Home buyer tax benefits, navigating deductions and credits for 2024. Ron Siegel Radio, your go-to source for all things home ownership, financial planning, and community building. I'm Ron Siegel. Today we're here diving into a topic that's top of mind for many of you, especially with tax season upon us. Tax breaks for buying a home. It's that time of year again when we're all gathering our financial documents, getting our ducks in a row, and thinking about taxes, because we wait to the last minute. If you're a homeowner or a first-time home buyer, there are some potential tax breaks you should know about. It's important to understand that I am not a tax professional. The information I'm sharing today is general, so please consult with a qualified tax expert for advice tailored to your specific situation. Now, let's clear up a common misconception. Deductions and credits are not the same. A deduction reduces your taxable income, which in turn lowers the amount of tax you owe. The amount your income is reduced depends on your tax bracket. There are two types of deductions, standard and itemized. Standard deduction is a fixed amount that varies based on your filing status and is updated each year. Itemized deductions are specific expenses you incurred during the tax year. You should itemize if the total of your allowable itemized deductions is greater than the standard deduction. A credit, on the other hand, directly lowers your tax liability by a fixed dollar amount. Keep in mind that some credits are non-refundable, meaning if you don't owe much in taxes, you might not get the full credit. However, refundable credits, like the Earned Income Tax Credit, can result in a refund even if you don't owe taxes. Now, it's also crucial to know that home ownership expenses cannot be deducted. These include things like closing costs. That's title insurance and appraisals, depreciation, payments for domestic service, your down payment, fire insurance, mortgage insurance premiums, the principal portion of your mortgage, and regular utilities like gas, electric, and water. So what can you deduct? Let's get into the details. One of the most important and significant tax breaks for homeowners is the home mortgage interest deduction. This allows you to deduct the interest you pay on your mortgage up to $750,000 or $375,000 if you're married filing separately. If you're taking out a home equity loan or a HELOC for homeowner improvements, you can also deduct that interest through 2025. You'll claim this on Schedule A of Form 1040. Another common deduction is property taxes. Whether you pay them monthly or yearly, state and local property taxes are deductible on your federal return. However, there are limits. For 2023 tax year, the deduction is capped at $10,000 for married couples filing jointly, $5,000 for other filing statuses. You can also deduct property taxes paid at closing, but not those paid on commercial or rental properties. This goes on Schedule A of Form 1040. Another deduction to be aware of is the mortgage points. When you get a mortgage, you can sometimes purchase mortgage points to lower your interest rate. You can deduct these points either in the year you get the mortgage or over the life of the loan. Again, there are limitations, so check the IRS website. This is also claimed on Schedule A. For those of you who are self-employed, there's a home office deduction. If you use a part of your home exclusively for business, you can deduct certain expenses. This means your home office needs to be a dedicated space, not just your bed with a laptop. Occasional freelance work does not qualify. There are some exceptions, such as if you use part of your home for a daycare business or to store inventory. Deductible expenses can include refurbishment and repairs, depreciation, a portion of your rent or mortgage, a portion of your utilities, business insurance, and office supplies. However, you cannot deduct landscaping or lawn care unless that's your business. There's also a simplified method where you can deduct $5 per square foot of your home used for business. Now, here's an important note. If you're a traditional employee, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act eliminated the ability to deduct unreimbursed home office expenses until at least 2026. To claim the home office deduction, you'll need Form 8829. And it doesn't stop there. If you rent out property, you can deduct some landlord expenses, including operating expenses, depreciation, and repairs. However, these deductions are only for maintaining the property, not for improvements. This is claimed on Form 4562. You might also be able to deduct medical capital expenses. If you need to make home improvements for medical reasons, like installing ramps, widening doorways, or modifying bathrooms for accessibility, some or all of those costs may be deductible. Beyond deductions, there are also homeownership tax credits. Some first-time lower-income homeowners might qualify for a mortgage credit certificate, which can subsidize up to $2,000 of interest. If you're investing in clean energy, there's a residential clean energy credit. Similarly, the energy efficient home improvement credit is available if you make energy efficient upgrades to your home. And finally, if you own an electric vehicle and installed a charging station in 2023, you might qualify for the alternative fuel vehicle property credit. A lot of stuff in there. And again, remember, we want you to chat with your professional, so that your tax professional, so they can help you. Remember, it's all the time I have for today, but remember, I'm your Ron Siegel, Certified Liability Advisor, CLA, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. If you have questions about today's topic or need guidance on managing your debt, give us a call at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And now what's your number? Yes. As I always ask, set that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Big thanks to Josh and Sean for engineering us today. And of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, RonSiegelRadio.com. And remember, make a lot of money so you can help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.